All right, I am here. Let's see if we can get ourselves organized in terms of sounds and noise and, all of that. I've only had one cup of coffee, so please pardon me. It will take a little bit of time to get myself sorted out this morning. Okie dokie, I think we're just about there. Woo! I like it when that happens. So, this morning I was wanting to draw a little bit of a holiday card for my patrons. I feel like I need to make some stuff up to them because I unfortunately got really sick for half of November and missed putting up the map for that month, and everything got away from me and things have been so overwhelming. So, trying to get myself caught back up. My intention is to take the next little while and do 2 maps to put up for December, to make up for the lack in November, and also just kind of start catching up and make that the priority that it is. I really don't like having a prolonged illness. It just takes forever to get caught up on the life stuff that goes to the side when you're in bed and can't do anything. So I am going to get started on that. So, yeah, the first thing that I want to do is sketch out my design. And I just realized that I cannot actually see the chat right now, so just give me 1 second and I'm going to fix that. Da, 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 da. This one. Yes, that's fine. No. Google, just stop. I got nothing, you guys. Technology, when am I going to get good at it? Because, really, that's the question. Oh, hey, there we go. Winning. Yes, more coffee, Myrna. Totally more coffee. So, my idea for this card was to do, a holiday squid. I absolutely love cephalopods. They are a thing that I am passionate about in my life. The story of how I got the moniker Monocled Octopus is because I painted one for a client around the time that I was getting married, and the intention was to use that to pay for my wedding dress. And the commission fell through. So the painting is wonderful, and I have it, and it hangs in my kitchen. But unfortunately, I then had to find some other way to pay for my wedding dress, which we managed, humans are good that way. So I had this squid design kind of roughed out when I was setting up my Patreon. It was one of the ideas that I initially had for marking the tiers. So I'm going to adapt that today into a cute little idea that I had for a holiday card. And we'll see if it turns out okay. So I'm using a 2H pencil right now. I try not to go terribly tough with my pencils, tough meaning dark, if I know I'm going to be doing watercolor on top of them, just because I don't want those lines to show through if I can't get them all erased. Sometimes I forget. So I also find that as I get older, I'm starting to appreciate the lack of graphite smudge on my hands as I keep going. Let's make that a little bit higher. There was something about it when I was younger that really amused me and made me feel like, oh yeah, I'm legit an artist. I have graphite smudge on my hands. I've gotten over it. So there was no game last night because everybody's on holiday. I'm honestly missing it. Game is something that kind of fortifies me and keeps me going in some ways. The town that I'm in is pretty tiny, so it's kind of my social interaction for the week. And all of my people are gone away for the holidays. And I mean, kudos to them. If I could be somewhere warm, friends of ours are in Jamaica. A couple other friends have gone to Victoria to be with their families. Other friends are in South Carolina, and I'm just like, you go, guys. This is fantastic. But it does mean I miss them. We have some friends coming today who are coming to stay for a few days, so that'll be really nice. They're bringing their two dogs, which will add to the mix of our Saxon and our current little side project, Mr. Chimo. So wish us luck. We're not in a huge space, so 4 dogs might be more than is actually reasonable to work with. We're gonna find out. It should be good anyway. So I want this tentacle to come down like this, but I also want to hang something from this hand, so I'm not gonna flesh that in quite yet. And then I want this tentacle to go out over here, but same deal. All right, so I wanted to add ornaments to this guy and have him be holding some ornaments. And I'm just going to adjust this carapace on his head because he looks like he's about to cry. I don't want a crying squid. Crying squids are sad. Spudgun, how are ya? Good to see you. At this point, I'm a doggy daycare. Myrna, you are not kidding. It feels a little like more than I expected, to be totally honest. We're also taking care of Nicole and Brian's cats, which means that every day I'm running over to their place and being like, hello, cats. How are you? Do you have food and water? I think the funniest part about their whole cat situation, sorry guys, the cough still isn't gone, is that they've literally had a homeless cat insert itself into their home. Nicole's a notoriously soft touch when it comes to cats, and there was a cat that started hanging out earlier this year, and clearly it had been abandoned by its family, and so Nicole started leaving like food out for it on the front porch, and then, you know, water, and then a pillow because, you know, what if she needs somewhere comfortable to sit. And over the span of many, many months, this cat, which we call Homie, short for homeless, has now gotten rights to come in some nights and sleep on the couch, and she has her own little like kingdom in the garage. And I think they're just a short step from leaving her in the house all the time. The biggest holdback right now is that she's very, very used to being outside. So to bring her in full time, kind of, she gets squirrely and she's like, no, I need to be outside. Like, you don't understand. So I think unless they had some kind of cat flap, which is incredibly impractical in Canada, you just hemorrhage heat out of your house like nobody's business. Homie wouldn't be comfortable because wouldn't be able to self-determine the going in and the going out. So I also have to check the garage and make sure Homie is okay. Which is fine. Homie's pretty cute. She's skittish, so like she doesn't want to cuddle or anything. But that's alright. Not everybody needs to cuddle. Alright, so we put a star in this one's hand, and I'm thinking we'll do like your standard ball ornament over here. So I'm officially on holidays as of this point, which I am stoked about. We got Dexter's maps finished. He's really excited about it, which makes me super happy. I have a map that's supposed to be happening for Matthew, and I've asked if we can delay that into January. The anticipation of I would have been able to finish it by the end of December just isn't going to work. I have my Patreon commitments to think of. And I also just want to have some time off. Dave is off, which is rare. He gets like 2 sections of holidays in a year, and I would just like to be off and with my husband because, you know, that's kind of important. Do we think that mistletoe is an appropriate idea for a squid? Or should I maybe change that to something else? I think it's kind of cute. I don't know. Give me your thoughts. Comments? Tell me things. Maybe we'll put a present. No, I don't want to deal with forced perspective right now. Can he ask for consent in some way? It took me a second to track what you were saying, Myrna. That's fabulous. Oh my goodness. Now I gotta think of some like catchy phrase to go along with that, right? Guys, I'm not good at catchy phrases so early in the morning. Alright, we'll think about it. Maybe I'll just put it in like the little journal entry. This squid asks for your consent. Because consent is important, people. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Alright, let's get these tentacles drawn in. Now that we know what's over here. I'm sorry, I know that working in 2H means you guys can't really see much of what I've got going on over here, so I'll get this into ink here right away. That looks silly. That looks better. Alright, so I'm pretty content with my pencil sketch here, so I am going to grab one of my waterproof pens. I'm going to do this in my giant bullet tip 1 micron, just because I want a really nice, thick, kind of cartoony line. And where am I going to start? I'm going to start with the eyes, because that's a lot of fun. I just want to keep my hand nice and loose as I'm working. I want these lines to be really round. Invite some comedy. This part of the season is often not fun for everyone, and I kind of want to bring a little bit of levity. I mean, don't get me wrong, holidays are pretty great a lot of the time, but I know I have some stress with my family, and I think that's true for a lot of people, and that can make dealing with the rounds of holidays really stressful. I also get a little bit bent out of shape about like the forced economic participation of holidays like this. Like, not everyone's in a position to buy you everything, and reciprocity can be such a tricky social subject. So I don't know, there's things to love and then there's things to be kind of careful about. Hi, David. Yay, I'm glad that you think it's a great surprise. That makes me happy. I'm all about being a distraction, for the record. I think, like, I'd love to have business cards that are like artist, professional distraction. Because, like, wouldn't that be a great way to introduce yourself? Oh, geometry, you are so not my strong point. It's like, if you, I don't know if you can see it, but like, I'm not being completely loyal to my pencil lines. I'm trying to make sure that I have the general idea of where I'd set them out to go, because I liked the arrangement. It was generally pleasing. Dear God, you guys, what are you doing outside? They're doing renovations on the set of queues near us, and I can't believe the noise. Like, they have a super early start time. I think they start at like 6 a.m. Which is not a problem when Dave is working, because we're up at 5:30, but when he's off, we don't tend to get out of bed until like almost 8 o'clock. And all kinds of rumbling. My first thought is like, oh, there's a range going, and I'm like, no, the entire base is stood down. There's no range going right now. So I'm hoping they take a break for a few days around Christmas, because, you know, that would be great. Alright. I am going to grab a finer pen to do the mistletoe. Just so we have some delicacy there. I am cheating on my pencil, David, totally. I hear you about people taking it as a challenge when you don't really care for receiving them. That's been something for me that's been really difficult to navigate. A couple of years ago, I left my partner and went through a very arduous process of instigating a divorce. It was very necessary. Um, it has finally resolved after 7 years of just in general what the hellness. But it was really hard to explain to people that I had found this exceptional peace with not having a house full of stuff. Like when I left, I wasn't able to take a lot with me, and it was actually incredibly liberating to have a freedom of space in my house and to not feel oppressed by my things. I had less cleaning to do. Like, at first, it seemed like such a thing to be put upon, and then I was like, this is actually amazing, and I'm super stoked about it. So then trying to explain to people, I'm good. Like, please don't get me anything. I'm quite content. If I need something, I'll tell you. It offended some people. Like, my mom was really put out because it felt to her like I was denying her love because I wasn't taking these objects. And I was like, well, if we could agree on objects that would actually be useful, then I'm good with that. But, like, don't waste your money. So, yeah, Myrna, I hear you. Consensus with everything. You guys are brilliant. So, got my baselines done. I'm gonna go back in with my thicker pen here and just add some heaviness, some cartoony gravity to some of these lines. I come out of a self-taught cartooning background, and by that I mean I drew a lot from cartoons and comic books as a kid because they were the references that were available to me. So when I'm doing ink work, I have a tendency to really favor a very, very cartoony style, unless I'm doing like ultra realistic stuff. Because the other person I studied a lot as a kid was Albert Dürer, who's like the father of printing press. I don't even know the words for it right now. He does incredible, incredible etch plate drawing. If you ever get a chance to look at his Dante's Inferno illustrations, they are just majestic and will blow your mind. So adding this extra line weight just helps soften things up. Gives us a little bit of boldness. We're all about some boldness. Yeah, particular taste is a thing too. And I mean, I think that's partly why like I like exchanging gifts with certain people. Like, Myrna, you're somebody that I love exchanging gifts with because you actually pay attention to me through the course of the year and are like, oh yeah, this is a thing she was talking about. Cool. Let's do that. Um, and I like just giving you things that I think are going to spark your creativity. Like, I really wasn't sure about those high cubes that I sent you for your birthday, but then I was like, you know what? I think this will be fine. And I went with it. So, I think they were okay. Sorry, focusing on my lines just a second. I can hear the dogs wrestling downstairs. Oh man, baked gifts. David, let me tell you about baked gifts. And by that I mean I love to bake. This is the thing in my life. I do it a lot. I love giving people baked goods, especially if I can have myself together enough to do it at the beginning of December, because then people have them on hand for entertaining and all of that jazz. And I feel like that's the kind of public service that I'm into. Oh boy, the dogs. Thank goodness Dave is home. Thank goodness Dave is home. Alright, so we have some mistletoe. We have a line weight squid. We have a bow going on up here for good measure. Because, you know, bows are fun. They're part of the holidays. I love the trappings of Christmas. Like, I think it's really cool that we have a holiday where we focus on making the world beautiful. Because I think there's a lot of times when the human condition could be illuminated by having more beauty around us, and we just don't seem to prioritize that the way that we could. So I love the lights. I love that people put effort into the presentation of baking and all that kind of thing. My partner is really not big on the holidays. He just couldn't care less. His entire family's like that. And I'm somebody who really likes it. So I'm kind of fighting this one person war about, like, can we please have pretty things in the house? Because that would be nice. And I do it anyway, but I just can't expect any help from him. So he's like, no, it's not really my jam. And I'm like, that's cool. You know, you don't have to help me with that. This is kind of my deal. I'll handle it. But it's a little weird to try and like uphold Christmas traditions when you don't have children and you have a partner who's relatively indifferent. All right, guys, I think we officially have a squid. How does that look? It looks pretty good. All right. Marina, you should post a link to the high cubes. You're probably already thinking of that because you're a genius. And I love you. I already did. Oh, see? See? I'm behind the times. This is the thing. Alright, so let's bust out some colors here. Part of the reason that I wanted to do a fun project is I really want to play with my new paints. So, got some paints, got some water. I got my new brushes. But yeah, the high cubes are really fun. Kim introduced me to those back in the day, and I dig them. I think they're great. Color squid should we do, guys? I mean, there's the classic red squid, which I kind of dig. Although apparently they're only red after they die, giant squids. It's an oxidization thing. If they're alive in the water, they're silver. There's some really amazing footage that I think it was some researchers in Japan caught off one of the coasts a few years ago, and just, oh, majesty. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, you're right. Red totally does fit with the holidays as well. I'm gonna try to avoid the stereotypical red and green a little bit, though, just because, well, we have the mistletoe. I guess we don't have to avoid it completely. Alright, let's get some water in here. Oh, I should have erased my pencil lines. See? This is me. I think the only reason people think I'm a good artist is because they can't see what's going on in the background all the time. I think that's part of why the live streams are important to me, though. Like, demystifying art is kind of a big deal, because if people can see that it's just a series of choices and frequently a series of mistakes, I think they're going to be more confident about trying it themselves. And that's important to me. Alright, let's try this again. There we go. I set one of the Hydras. Where did you get to play with that? And, like, can I? Because I have some Hydras. I'm not super crazy about them. Well, I have one of the Hydras, so perhaps it's just that particular shade of green. Probably should have masked out his eyes. Carefully, carefully. Home again, jiggity jig. Oh, I haven't heard that in a while. I completely hear you on that. There was a post in the mapping group this morning about the state of anxiety that kind of comes up when you're trying to create art and you're just like holding yourself and you're like, I don't know if I can do this, and then like something just forces you to do it. And I was like, oh man, every time. And somebody was like, yeah, this is me anytime I start a commission. And I was like, yes, preach, because it's true. Like, I know I have skills, but also that doesn't mean I'm not terrified to start every single time. Yeah, right? Like, ugh, such a thing. I'm really digging that I can see the chat now, you guys, because this is really fun. I realize that sounds quite silly because the chat was always there, and I hadn't just worked out a way to do it, but hey, happy now. Oh no, we have bleed over. Don't do it. I'm gonna Bob Ross that. Turn it into a happy accident. Success, I think. Yeah, there's something about the flow state. Like, I have a couple of pieces that I've done. If you've never researched flow states, do it because when it comes to art, they are just absolutely fascinating. I have a couple of pieces that I've done, particularly pen and ink work, because that's kind of what I came up doing. It's the most natural thing for me, where like I almost don't remember doing them. I just get into a groove and start going, and it's fabulous. And then like sometimes 4 hours later, I kind of come back to myself, and I'm like, oh, that was good. I'm done now, and I really need to pee. Oh, dogs, so loud. Sorry guys, if that's in your ear, I really don't mean it. They are in their enthusiastic play portion of the morning. But yeah, it's always better because I'm relaxed and I feel good about what I'm doing and I'm just enjoying myself. There's something so important about enjoying the process. We were talking a little bit about that on that commission thing where like the difference between like discipline and inspiration. Um, I do think that in on some levels waiting for inspiration is a mistake because if you're waiting for it, it may not necessarily show up. But on a lot of levels, if I'm not having fun, it doesn't matter how inspired I feel. Although for me, they tend to go hand in hand. If I'm not having a good time or I'm bored or whatever, then it's just like, this is gonna be no good. Yeah, the muse is likely to find you working. I think that's a Pablo Picasso quote, isn't it, originally? Yeah, flow states. Totally flow states. It's amazing. They're some of my favorite ways to pass time. I have drawings that I've done on location when I'm traveling. I have drawings that I've done just for myself. I've had drawings that I've done for other people, and those I think have been my favorites to gift because they feel special to me as a creator. It's like I wasn't necessarily pushing myself to create this. This was kind of like not to sound cheesy, but kind of like a gift from the universe. Like I don't know where those states come from. I don't know where the inspiration derives from. It just kind of happens, and I love that. It just feels really special. All right, we have a squidling. So I'm going to do this as mixed media. So I'm doing my base level in watercolor, and then I'm going to go back in with some pen and add the details in pen. So that is my plan. Changing brush. Have I seen Elizabeth Gilbert's talk about the genius as an external force? No, I have not. Was it a TED Talk? Because, like, I'm also just kind of skeptical of anything as an external force. Like, as much as I kind of pay lip service to the whole, I don't know where it comes from, which I don't. I'm firmly convinced that we create the world in our minds. All the time, all the time. I mean, there are forces outside of ourselves, but, like, cognitive capacity is what determines how we interact with the world. I guess I should rephrase that. Need a bit of a golden yellow. Alright. The idea is to remove the pressure on people to be geniuses all the time. I think that's a great idea because that's a ton of pressure. Like, it really, really is. And I think it's particularly bad. I'd need to see more cultural data, of course, but like I think it's particularly bad in North American and Western European cultures because our relative level of capitalist affluence has meant that we're less preoccupied with subsistence. So we have more time to think about other things, and that I think puts more pressure on us to do other things. And I don't know. There's a thought in there that is half formed and I can't get to it right now. I think it just people are stressed, and that's not cool. Stress is no fun. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. So I've got this really gorgeous color. It's called Juniper Green, although like straight up look at that label. That is not green. This is blue. It's kind of this really, really bodacious teal, and I dig it. It is so much fun. So we're going to use that on this round ornament because I want to. Let's give this round ornament some detail, shall we? How about some swirls? Swirls are fun. So what do we think? Juniper green. You have it too? Yeah. I mean, I was initially attracted to it because, you know, everything teal. That is my favorite color, bar none. It makes me super, super happy. And then how about some iris blue? Because that one is also really great. Oh, now if I'd really been thinking, I would have done like a background wash with him and then salted it. Oh, 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 no. Come out, come out. Too much water. There we go. Because, you know, there's no better excuse for snowflakes than holiday-themed things. Alright, that's looking pretty good to me. Color of ribbon. Color of ribbon. How about cyclamen? I am unfamiliar with what this is. Let's give it a try. Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, that'll do the job. Right on. So that is good for me for the watercolor portion of this. I am going to let it dry for a second. It's just about dry anyway. Sorry guys, the cough is just gross. And I'm gonna dig up my pens. Oh, I should show you guys this box I got in the mail while that's drying, because I can. My friend Katrine sent me an accidental birthday present. She didn't know it was my birthday. And look at how she decorated this box for me. It is covered all over in like D&D maps and like fantasy art, and she did like the sides and the neck, and I was just like blown away. This is probably the coolest outside decoration of a package that I've ever gotten. It made me really happy. So now I want to send more stuff because like who doesn't like getting epic mail? And inside, she could have sent it in an envelope because, like, all that was in it was a letter-sized envelope. But she sent me a copy of the Forgotten Realms Atlas, which I don't have. And she's been following me, kind of doing my map making thing. And I am so excited about this. I can't imagine the amount of work that went into doing the maps in here. Never mind, like, compiling all of the text. Like, this is just such a gorgeous project. So, yeah, looking forward to digging into that over my holidays. I'm super stoked about it. So, yeah, it was really, really wonderful to be like, oh my goodness, there's a pretty box in the mail. Okay. So, for pens, I am using my very trusty Staedtler fine liners. And I've also got a set of these ones that are called Mapped Graph Peps. I have no idea why they're called Graph Peps, but they are. These are probably my two favorite color sets for doing Incorp right now. Just because the variety of color. I'm sure there are other sets out there, and I'm kind of obsessive about collecting pens, so I think eventually I will end up with. But these are the ones that I have at the moment. So, thinking that we'll start with on the red, because that's had the longest to dry. Yes, it was Karen Wynne Fronstad, absolutely. An Atlas of Tolkien's World. Was that the Frodo's Journey Atlas? Yeah. Yeah, I just had that out from the library. It's gorgeous. I was really, really impressed with it. So all I'm doing right now is just adding hatching in various colors to kind of push what I want for shadows, which will just give it some more depth, a little bit more texture. Had, as in past tense? I don't know if she did more than one. Like, I ran into that by accident. I was going through the library catalog, just looking at what my library system had for books that were cartography related, and ran across that one and requested it. There's a couple really good ones in the system that I'm just looking forward to getting to eventually. Sometimes I just need a break from map related stuff and be like, okay, I'm doing non-map stuff for a while. Give me books to read. One of the things that I'm looking forward to doing while I take this little bit of time off is I'm hoping to work on my novel a little bit. I've been trying to build in like a daily discipline where I work on it in the mornings and then work on commissions in the afternoons and evenings, because that's kind of how my time likes to break up. But life is still requires me to like do laundry and stuff like that. So I don't get the 10-hour workday that I really wish I had sometimes. Dave doesn't like it when I'm that busy. He's like, I never see you. I'm like, that's fair. That is a critique I can completely understand. Although it makes up because sometimes he's in the field and I don't see him for days either, so we just kind of make it work. Got it as a gift 20 years ago, yeah, for sure. Hey, how's it going? I thought you were at school. Are you done school already? Dexter, what's your deal? It's funny how, like, something arriving past tense does that. Like, I have stuff that's like that too, completely. English is also peculiar that way. Like, it just really, really is. That was one of the less intelligent sentences that I've said recently. Sorry, guys. Only one cup of coffee. Please forgive me. Finally at home. Nice. Alright. I'll put this up to the camera so you have a better idea of what it was that I was up to. So you kind of see the hatching in there now? Yeah. So I'm going to do the same thing with a couple more colors just to keep adding that dimensionality. One of the colors that I'm going to push in there right now is some yellow. So use that as kind of bringing in a highlight. It won't be super obvious unless you're quite close to it, but it will work. And then, like, you could have done all of this in watercolor too. It just wasn't what I was feeling for a process today. I really wanted to do some pen work too. So hold this up here. Can you kind of see the difference of where the yellow went in? I like it because it kind of just pushes the color variation a little bit more, which is fun. I think let's do a little bit more on that. Oh, I think this pen is dying on me. Don't do it, pen. Yeah, that one is definitely not as happy as it could be. Man, more rumbling outside. This is not cool. Limburg. Where is Limburg? I'm assuming the Netherlands? Should we throw a little bit of blue on here? It won't look blue in the end, but you know, we could do the thing. It's odd to me to think of provinces that are north-south because pretty much all of Canada's are arranged east-west. It's always like, we're just in a line. Ba-doo. Sorry, guys. Oh, man. I can't wait to be healthy. Let me tell you, that's a thing. Now I have the lyrics for I Just Can't Wait to Be King going through my head. Thanks, Lion King. You're awesome. Alright. So I think I'm pretty happy with the level of hatching that's going on in here. It's not just brains though. Like, if that's what you're familiar with, it makes sense that you're automatically going to assume those things line up that way. Like, I'd actually never thought about that because like that just shows me privileging my North American uh, geolocation, right? Like in my head, the Pacific has always been west, but that's not true for everyone in the world. And I lose sight of that sometimes. I mean, it's obvious once I stop to think about it, but it's not obvious until I start to think about it. So I'm just taking a white pen and kind of cleaning up where I've got some bleed over in the eyes here. I don't really want him to have red eyes for Christmas. And then I want to do a color outline with him. And I want to do that in one of my Copics. Just to give that kind of punch. I'm trying to decide what color I want. Maybe we do want a green because it is the red, but maybe like a pale green. Where's my wax white? Is that too pale? Color swatching, where are you? Wait, I have a piece of this paper that's running around loose right now. Don't I? I do. Excellent. Always color swatch on the kind of paper you're using, you guys. No, that's too yellow. Gross. Dim green. What do we think about you? That's better. I mean, it's still pale, but it's more green. It's not as yellow. What else have we got? Pistachio. I think that might be too dark. Dim spring green. Definitely too dark. Chartreuse. Oh, it looks really bright. What do we think? No, I think I'm still favoring this dim green. Alright, let's do that. And this is also kind of coming out of the comic book thing that I grew up in. It was just really big among the other comic book artists that I went to school with, that you would take the outside and give yourself like a corona or a halo on your object if you weren't doing like panels that told a story, if you were just doing like a feature piece. And it's a habit I've kind of stuck with. I like the way it makes things pop. I also like that it kind of smooths that transition between whatever you were working on and the rest of the page. I've seen it a lot with like graffiti, which is an art form that I love and admire so much and have absolutely zero skill for. One of my favorite things about traveling in France was seeing the cultural variation in the graffiti that was there compared to the graffiti that I had seen at home. And it had not occurred to me up until that point that the graffiti traditions would be as different as the actual, like, so-called high art and fine art traditions around the world. It was really a cool thing to kind of have brought home to me. All right, we need a little bit of gray for the top of that ornament. Doo-doo-doo-doo. And we need to reapply this white on the eyeballs. Myrna, I need a bottle of that perfect white, man. That is a thing in my life. Alright, where are we at? This is what we got. So we need to put some kind of happy greeting on here. And then I will be able to scan it and upload it to my patrons. And we're coming in at right around an hour, which is what I wanted to do. So yeah, awesome. I would stay and hang out for longer today, but we got company coming and, you know, that typical holiday. Oh man, I got things. So what are we going to say? I'm honestly feeling like just season's greetings. I want to do something clever like Squid Miss greetings or whatever, but like I don't know if that's actually as funny as it is in my head. I'm looking at my desk now and going, oh my god, all of my lines and my paint flecks and my glue spots. Maybe I'll have to sit down over Christmas with a razor and clean off the glass. That's pretty terrible. Okay. Where's the epic ruler? Quick, I need the epic ruler. Right here. So this is my epic ruler. This came in one of my well-inked boxes. And I love the damn thing. It is my favorite ruler ever because I can see through it. Never underestimate how valuable that is. Valuable that is. Alright, we're going to put this line here. Just as a guide for midpoint. Alright. And then we just need to space out letter. Seasons greetings. Seasons have an apostrophe in it. I feel like it should, but it perhaps doesn't. Hello, Google. This is awkward to do when I don't have my keyboard in front of my computer. Yeah, I love how that's the first question people ask. Yes, okay, perfect. With an apostrophe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 plus a space is 17 plus an apostrophe is 18. Alright, what's the middle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's actually pretty much the space. Sweet, I love it when that happens. So we're going to start over here. This is inevitably where I mess everything up, you guys, because I am not a letterer. Not even in the slightest. Everything's crooked. Nothing is fun. Totally did the wrong G's for this font. Well, that came out better than I expected it to. Winning. Sorry, I just looked up at the comments. Yeah, well, then I would have screwed it up and, would have had to figure it out. It's kind of the nature of the beast. So I'm gonna go back in with a better nib and just clean this up, make it darker. All of that business. So this part might be boring to watch, but it is necessary. I kind of wish that I had the inclination to practice lettering more because I see what other people do and I'm like, that's just so bloody impressive. Like, I could watch calligraphy videos until the end of time. Um, but it's so rarely a part of what I need to do that it's just something I haven't devoted a lot of time to. I have really, really decent handwriting, just because I've spent a lot of time writing. That frequently my handwriting is enough to get me by, but it's not decorative by any stretch. I think Dave's listening to Jack Johnson. I can hear some music. I kind of wish I could listen to music while I'm doing the stream, but like, I really have no idea if that breaks copyright rules or if I'd have to pay royalties or any of that jazz, and it just hasn't been enough on my mind to go and research that and find out how all of that works. I'm sure the information is out there. Yeah, no, I hear you in terms of like the spacing and stuff. That's part of the reason why I went straight to pen. Because if I start in pencil, I'm going to start overthinking it and it's just going to be not good. Um, I have definitely ruined things through that, like life lesson. It's sometimes a thing, but more often than not, if I just go with it, it's fine. And when it's not, well, it's my own fault and I start again. Working in pen is an interesting thing because if you treat it like no takebacks, I find I get more confident with it. Which is a little bit strange, but I think part of it also is like I grew up with pen. Like I did almost all of my drawing like straight in through high school and into university with pen. It was cheap, it was portable, it was what I had access to. So it's the medium that I'm probably the most confident in. It's just that lettering is not confident for me. Um, the pen is just not what I'm doing with the pen. This needs heavier weight over here. Come down here. There we go. I was thinking it might be cool to do a set of little squids like this, as like gift tags. So, I don't know, maybe I'll play with that idea. I love drawing little doodly things like this and having a reason for them, so. Alright, we have letters. Success. Now, watch me put down the pen and let that dry, because otherwise I'm gonna smudge the hell out of that. Oh, we need to balance some of this. One of the great things about working on the stream is I can see what I'm doing through the camera, and there's something about that that gives you a better sense of where your line weight's good and where it's not. And that is like creatively one of the best things to deal with, because it just lets you see where your mistakes are and what you need to do to fix them. If you can fix them. Sometimes I look up and go, oh wow, that's not salvageable. Thanks, John. How's your day going? I gotta figure out if there's a way to like save the chat so people can read it after when they're looking at the videos. So I don't know. That's on my list of things to figure out. Okay, waiting. Stop adding pen or this is never going to dry. I am so impatient. In case anybody cares, this is the, come on, phone, focus. You can do it. Hello? There we go. And we lose it again. Fudenosuke? Am I pronouncing that properly? It's a brush tip pen by Tombow, and it's one of my new favorite pens for drawing. It gives you an absolutely gorgeous line variance. You can go from really thin to really thick, and the nib is just beautiful. Like, it's a lot of responsive to pressure and just does gorgeous things. And it's water-based pigment ink, so like you probably don't want to go for a watercolor on top of it, but it's great on top of watercolor. I find it works really well with Copics. It's kind of my new favorite thing. Just gonna go finish up Christmas shopping. Nice! I have friends coming over, so I have to finish cleaning my house, which is like that grown-up thing that needs to be done, even though it's not exciting. Although I have to say, I really do like having a clean house. I just can't be arsed to keep up on it every single day. I have other things I'd like to do. Alright. This is my other favorite eraser. Again, a well-inked box thing. I don't know what the style of pencil is actually called. My mom was an upholsterer, And growing up, she had a bunch of these that had like a grease pen inside them, and she called them China markers. And there was a brand called China markers. I just don't know if there's a different name for it. Um, this piece of tape is holding the edge in, but this paper peels down in segments, showing more of what's on the inside. And in this case, it's a white eraser, and I love it. It's long, it sits in my hand really easy. The quality of the vinyl is really, really good. I got some Staedtler ones, and I don't like the actual eraser. I find it smudges things. So this was a really happy find. I don't know how it's going to be for me like when I get down here, because once things are too short, it really hurts my hands to try and work with them. But for now, this is quite fabulous. I am a huge fan. All right. I think this is the deal. So, oh, you have to go to Costco? Marna, I don't envy you. That is just no fun at all. Although I should totally ask you to buy me coffee so that I can just come get it from you, because I feel like I have not made it to Costco in a million years. All right, my darlings, I am going to go and get this scanned and uploaded to my Patreon, along with a couple of scout maps that I've been hanging on to for them. And then I'm going to go finish getting my house ready for my company to get here. My intention is to try to stream next Thursday, but the reality is I have a friend who I'm taking to the airport that day, and the airport is 2 hours from here, so it may not happen. If it doesn't happen, I will try to find some time next week to just have a random stream, so you guys can see what I'm working on. I'm doing personal art for the next 2 weeks until I go back to commission stuff on January 6th. So likelihood you'll see not stuff necessarily like this, but drawings that I want to work on to have for my reference for my book. I have a couple of commissions for friends that I want to work on that aren't like paid commissions kind of things, but still super important projects that I want to get done. That kind of thing. So I am going to go fight for my right to party. And I hope if I do not see you guys before solstice, Christmas, everything that's going on right now, that you have an amazing holiday. I super duper appreciate that you come and hang out. It makes doing this so much better for me. And yeah, I will be thinking of you as I chill for my holidays. So take it easy, and we will catch you next time. Bye.